The Bible has so much language and teaching around business. It has so much. And there's so many laws in the Bible, and a lot of them relate to how we treat each other in the economic sphere. One that I find particularly interesting, gleaning. I think gleaning is not just some archaic bygone that we can ignore because we're no longer farmers. And well, that was for farmers, and not only for farmers, but that was for farmers thousands of years ago in an agrarian economy. No, I don't think that's where it stopped. I think it has something to do with God being a God of justice and a God of redemption and shalom. And I think in that context, gleaning was a very clear way for God to illustrate what that looked like. And so he gave us a picture of that. And what it looks like is this. Back then, back in the day, it looked like farmers were being commanded to leave an unharvested margin around the borders of their field so that the people on the margins could pick and eat. Now, here's what I think it means for us today. I think every business still is called to follow the gleaning mandate, even though they're not farmers. You have to be a little imaginative to do this. But every business has a field. Every business has a harvest. Every business has some form of work. Every business exists in a greater society. Every greater society on the face of the earth has people on the margins. No matter what business you're in, you have all that. And you have people on the margins of your field. And God didn't tell you that you're supposed to be an inefficient business person and run your business at a loss in order to feed the hungry. That's not what it says. In fact, it says, I will bless you. I'm going to bless your harvest. I want your harvest to be fruitful, and I will provide the growth. That's what I do. That's what God does. But it also calls that business person, in this case, the one who manages the farm, to pay attention to those on the margin. When we start applying this to modern day businesses, every time I look, I see more and more examples of this. I see so many businesses that are intentionally hiring prison leavers, formerly incarcerated people, because they're on the margin. You want to talk about being on the margins of society? That's it. These are people who cannot get a job, often. And these are people for who society says, door closed, and the only path that is unclosed, apparently, is one that returns them to prison. All too often, a lot of businesses are breaking that cycle, and they're simply opening the door and hiring people who are formerly incarcerated. I'll give you another example. Business owners who intentionally provide space for others to use. Like the example of Tango Internet did that and provided space for others to come in and use. I find a lot of high-tech companies are deliberately paying attention to those on the margins by putting their people into the margins in contact. So they deliberately pay their tech workers to be in the community using their skills for the sake of others in the community who can benefit from those tech skills. And it's a part of their job. See, gleaning does this in such a way that it's part of the business, it's part of the natural operation of the business. It's not just handing money out. It's not just making a charitable donation. No, it's actually using the engines of the business model, in a way that involves people on the margins.